this is everyone's favorite jack of all trades, Commodore Urban, and today we will be talking about another group of Lionel locomotives from the post-war era. But before I start on that video, or before I start on it, I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. I told you guys a little bit about it when I did my post-war F3 video, that I have been reading a very good fan fiction, a Loud House fan fiction. I've gotten the first 2 chapters read, and I have maybe half of chapter 3 read. And as far as I know, there's like 9 other chapters. I don't know if that's all of it or not. I don't know for sure. And I really don't want to disclose too much about it because, well, I don't want to talk about it too much until I read the whole thing and be able to discuss the entire thing that I read to you guys and give you guys my thoughts. But so far, I'm hooked. But anyway, what we're going to be talking about today, we're going to be talking about the 264 Adriatic type locomotive. Now you're probably thinking, why are you talking about the 264 Adriatic type? And no, I'm not talking about the type of 264s that were made with the boiler shell that looked like the Pennsylvania K4 and K5 Pacifics. No, this is another type of engine that we will be talking about, which is in this book. So, see, page 147, I think. So, what are you talking about by the Adriatic type locomotive? Well, what it was a mid-sized, it was a smaller size locomotive that was produced for the 027 line, and I think the very first one that was produced was in 1950, and there was the 2036. But I will read you in the book, and it's on page 147 of the Greenberg book. The locomotives number 2036, 2026, which is your 1951 model, and the 2037, which I will list all the numbers of that locomotive, the type of locomotive, off here in a moment. But it says here, the 3 locomotives described in this section are almost identical in external appearance and general design. The function difference among them are these. The number 2036, built in 1950, had magnet traction but no smoke unit. The number 2026, built 1951, 52, and 53, had no magnet traction but is equipped with a smoke unit, while this locomotive bears the same number as the 2026 locomotive built in 1948, 1949, and before. It should not be confused with its earlier models since it differs from them in almost every detail. And the number 2037, built in 1953, has both magnet traction and a smoke unit. The 1951 model of the 2026 locomotive is powered with a 2026-100 motor, which is not interchangeable with the previously used 2026M-1 motor. The new motor is most easily identified by its use of rollers instead of sliding shoes. The 2036 and the 2037 locomotives are powered with a 2036-100 motor, which is a magnet traction version of the 2026-100. Like all magnet traction motors, its slides, gears, axles, and axle bushings are made of non-magnetic material. During the development and production of these motors, a change was made in the shape of the gear studs and the shape and material of the intermediate gears, resulting in several different alternate assemblies which are shown on the following pages. While several alternative gear numbers are shown, most of them are interchangeable with only minor effects on performance of the locomotive. However, the cluster gear used on the magnet traction locomotives must be non-magnetic or will be attached to the wheels and act as a brake. Service hints. The jamming of the 2026 and 2037 locomotives is caused occasionally by an oversized smoke lever which does not permit the crosshead to reach the end of its forward stroke. The simplest method to remedy this condition is to file a small groove in the front of the crosshead. It should be noted that the center driving wheels of the 2036 locomotives were somewhat larger than the end wheels. This feature was intended to improve the magnetic circuit of the locomotive and was retained in the subsequent produced 2026 as well. However, the oversized center wheels resulted in derailments on the 1112 switches and were machined down in the 2037 and the 2026 locomotives produced in 1953. Only the smaller wheels would be supplied by the parts division. And there is a diagram for this locomotive. Now, I will show you a breakdown of this locomotive. It is a very simple type of locomotive, and this type of locomotive was used in quite a few of the sets Lionel produced in the post-war era. Quite a few sets. And finally, there is the last part of the diagram, right here, like so. Now, the locomotives that were built of this particular type included the 637, which was produced as an O-gauge item, and it was featured in several O-gauge sets, including a Super O set. You have the 2016, the 2018, the 2026, which is the 1951 version of it, not the earlier version, but the later version. You have the 2029, the 2036, the 2037, and the 2037-500, which was your infamous Lady Lionel, or your pink engine. Now, unlike my post-war F3 video that I did, I do not have any of those type of engines, but this type of engine, I'm very lucky. I've got two of them. You guys know them pretty well if you've been on this channel. These engines have been featured quite a bit in my videos. But since I had them, I thought I'd do a video talking about the 264 Adriatic type engine and the significance of the locomotive itself. So, the first one I have here is my first post-war engine, the 2026. Like I said, this is a no-frills type of locomotive. You know, it's got a solid die-cast shell. It's got an operating E unit, which allows the engine to go forward, neutral, reverse. It has, a motor, a six-wheel drive motor, and it has an operating headlight. Now, this version does not have a smoke unit, because if you look up inside, peekaboo, I can see there is no smoke unit. It is all empty up in there. But, like I said, she does have a headlight. She has forward, neutral, and reverse. And that's basically about it. And this engine would have been supplied with a 6026W whistling tender. And this engine, if I remember correctly, this engine was sold, I believe, for 2 years, at 1955 and 1956. It came in one freight set, the 1000W in 1955, and it was sold separately as an add-on item from 55 to 56. So yeah, this is your generic, type of locomotive this was. Of course, it had the jewels up front, your headlight lens. It had the little machined bell, your lever, and of course your cab and stuff, which is your wheels. And then the other version of this Adriatic type locomotive I have is my 2018. This one is produced in 1956. This particular type of locomotive was made for several years. And unlike the 2016, this one does have a smoke unit, which is a pill puffer, and it works very well. I've seen smoke come out of it, and I don't even have any smoke pellets, so just like the 2026, hang on a minute. Okay, sorry guys. Just like the 2016 and every other 264 Lionels made during this era, it has, your headlight lens. There's 2 jewel markers. This one, of course, is busted, and there's no jewel marker, and there's no way in hell of putting a jewel marker in there. It's all smashed. That gives the engine character, though. So, has a machined bell, which is actually made of metal, not plastic, like a lot of them are now. And of course, it has, your 3-position E unit lever. It has smoke, and you can see the push rod for the smoke unit right there as you move your wheels. Of course, it's got it would be the 2026-100 motor that's inside of this, just like the 2016. It's got the two-wheeled front truck, six-wheel drive mechanism, and four-wheel truck, giving the wheel configuration 264, which is Adriatic type. And of course, you got your shell, it says 2018 on it. And just like the 2016, it looks exactly just the same. And I'll even give you a comparison of the two engines. There's the 2020, there's your 2016, and there's your 2018. They look exactly the same, because they basically were the same locomotive, except, like I said, the 2018 had a smoke unit, the 2016 did not. And that was it. And the only locomotives that were produced that had the magnet traction was, of course, your 2036, which had no smoke unit, and your 2037, which did have a smoke unit, and the 2037-500, which is the Lady Lionel, or the pink engine. Yes, they made this particular engine, and it was all pink. And it said 2037 here in like blue. And that's the engine everybody wants, or the crazy oddity thing. But yeah, see, and that's basically all there is really to know about these engines. They're very dependable. They can pull quite a few cars. This one here, 2016, she's pulled 13 cars with no problem. And this one pulls about the same amount with no problem. They could probably pull more if I had more cars, but I don't got that many cars to begin with. But just like any other Postwar Lionel locomotive, just like any other Postwar Lionel locomotive, you want to, take them apart frequently, take them apart, work on them, especially when you first buy them, make sure they're okay. And then once you get them all fixed up and put new parts and shit into them, then you want to, just, over the time, of course, put oil on your axles, put grease on your gears, and, put oil on all your moving parts, just to keep everything free moving and flowing. And if you do that and you keep them all, oiled and lubricated and stuff, your trains will run forever. And they're, like I said, they're great engines. They're not relatively that expensive, except for the 2037-500 Lady Lionel. That little bastard, or I should say that little pink bitch is expensive as fuck. But any of the other engines, maybe the 637, that's a kind of a little bit of a more expensive engine, since it's a little bit harder to find. But the rest of them, they're relatively cheap, and they're a good little runner, and they're just a great little engine to have. So, I hope you guys enjoyed my little brief summary about the 264 Adriatic type locomotives made by Lionel in the post-war period. And if you enjoyed my video, leave a comment, tell me what you think. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel and you like what I'm doing, hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications. And then until next time, this is Commodore Urban saying let the line be clear ahead for you and full steam ahead. And God bless. You take care now, alright? Bye-bye.